Rubber and Ramada room welcomes all. Thanks for stopping by, answering the call. Ups and downs are normal for some of us. Many days I beg to get off this life bus. Neon lights flicker, a shadow on the wall. Dreams on the ceiling, we run and then we fall. Sharing stories over paper cups. Wheels keep turning, but never enough. Life's a ride on a rickety old track, holding on tight, never looking back. In the rubber and Ramada room, we confide, rock, cry, love in this crazy ride. Dusty postcards from the edge of nowhere, heartbeats echo in the electric air. We dance on tables without to wait, cry in the rubber and Ramada room, we're all high.
And yes, let me find my microphone. It's across the desk. We are back. We are underwater. I don't want to be underwater, so we're going to change that. Look, I was not prepared. Let's go rubber room on us. Let's just be wild today. Let's take the banner off. Well, maybe. All right, there we go. Hi, welcome in. Jeez, it's been a while, y'all. I'm telling y'all, okay? Seriously, seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. There are days that I, as a human, cannot function. I cannot get out of bed. I can't breathe without tripping out on people. So, therefore, some days it's best that I take off and just stay in my own little bubble and do my own thing. I don't like how this camera is setting. Nothing seems right. Everything seems off to me today. So we are going to, the first things first, I missed you guys. Gosh, look, and Denise is here. She is my one that is here no matter what. And I appreciate you for that, Denise. I have been, in my own bubble, It's been a rough couple weeks. These babies have made my life enjoyable, but nonetheless hard. There's days where I want to get up and I want to take care of the babies. Jeez, give me just a second. Hi, guys. Good morning. Hi, good morning. I don't want to show my feet on camera, so don't come that close. Hi, good morning. Hi. Well, you got to walk this way. Hi, I know. Y'all see me now. I know, you're trying to get over here.
Little car behind him. Following them that says wide load. Well, just fucking everybody, because you got everybody slowed down right here on before you hit Bondurant. Right here by the Channel 10 News. Everybody started slowing down, and then that truck in front of it slowed down, and then all I heard was woo woo, and then fucking next you know that I guess he wasn't paying attention because everybody you have to slow down real quick. And I fucking thought somebody was gonna hit me in the back because I had to slow down. And motherfucking trucks slowed down, but the one behind it didn't. It fucking just went underneath them, fucking hit, fucking muffler and shit flew everywhere.
But you're not hurt.
No, I wasn't gonna stop either. I fucking went around the fucking muffler that was coming out.
Wow.
whatever you call it, that sticks out.
Okay.
Man, and there's traffic all the way up there too. I don't know what the fuck.
Hi. I know, dude. I gotta clean the blankie today. What are you biting on him for? Hi. Hi there. Are you ready to meet your mama? Are you ready to meet your mama? Oh! Hey. Hey, little girl. We'll back up. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I just figured I would show off my puppies for a minute. You can't eat the camera, Bubby. There are my babies. So an accident just happened on 59 on Hector's way to work. That was kind of scary. Yeah, so okay. Two 18-wheelers collided and a truck went underneath one of the 18-wheelers. And yeah. And the muffler flew off one of the trucks and almost hit my car. And Hector's freaking out. So I'm done with the dogs. We're going on to I'm sorry. This is going to be a short stream because after this stream, this just totally went off the rails. This stream totally was not supposed to be anything like that. Okay, see, this is my life. I never know. We're going to go back to this. This is the DTE murder case. This was when Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo took the life of Hussein Murray. We watched this trial not long ago. And this trial was, they were found guilty, and this is the actual sentencing phase. I want to go over this, and then I will be back in just a little. This is only going to be like a 15-minute, 30-minute long. Sorry, I think it's about 30-minute long. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to just do a bunch of just little true crime things that I have saved up, put together. Like I said, it's been a little crazy here. For me to actually stop and do a stream is a lot. So I want to go over this real quick, and then I will leave and come back and we'll do the other one. I apologize for that. Anyway, so this is TCN. So my screen is black on the top, so I can't see anything. I can hear puppies, and Leah is losing her mind. Well, I'm sorry, but these are my babies. Yes, Denise, deep breaths, because All right. So we're going to get on with this. I haven't, I watched just a few minutes of it for, I'm sorry, let me go back here. Hussein Murray was led into the basement by these two gentlemen while his wife, Linda Murray, she was upstairs, and these two men brutally beat and strangled her husband to death, if you remember correctly. And the ME had said that due to the neck compressions and blunt force trauma was the reason for his demise, his death. They went upstairs. They confronted Linda, if I remember correctly. They demanded cash, jewelry. Remember, he was a jeweler. And they duct taped her up and they left. And she was able to free herself and call 911. Right. Thank you, Denise, for that. He's okay. My car's okay. He's going to be late to work and he's worried about that. So I told him he needed to text his boss and tell his boss there's an accident. They can clearly see it's 3 miles up the freeway from where he works. So they should be able to see that. Anyway, so she got free from her duct tape in the closet and all that. She called 911. There was ring camera footage, remember, of them at the door. And there was text messages between the two guys. Hernandez and his wife, remember, because his wife was also still like facing some charges, but hadn't been, and nothing had been done yet. And they had the surveillance footage of them purchasing, I believe it was either Lowe's or Home Depot, the yellow vests and the duct tape and all that. And they had DNA evidence of Mr. Murray's blood on their shoes and their clothing. So Hernandez and Zuazo, because remember, I could never say that name correctly. So let's bump until they actually start court.
Corrections, Hernandez, who is FC.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May it please the court. John Petrofessa and Andrew McGarrett on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Michael McCarthy, P30169, on behalf of Joshua Zuazo. He's seated in the jury box.
See, as I can never say Zuazo. I always say Zazu, but that's my Lion King theory. So.
Hello, Michelle Lawton on behalf of Carlos Hernandez, who is seated in the jury box as well.
All right, good afternoon to all of you. Date and time for sentencing. I have had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections as it pertains to Mr. Zuazo?
Your Honor, as to the pre-sentence report, no. I do not have any objections to the personal background information regarding Mr. Zuazo.
They can both stand up. You're being sentenced, stand up.
Oh, the judge ain't having it today. She said, you're being sentenced. Stand up. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I do not have any objections to the personal background information regarding Mr. Zuazo.
They can both stand up. You're being sentenced, stand up.
Mr. Zuazo, when I met a few days ago, we went through the report together, and he confirmed that the report itself is accurate. I do have one objection to raise to a sentencing guideline assessment, but beyond that, as far as the report itself goes, no objections.
Well, which guideline?
It is OV, offense variable 19, and the assessment is for 10 points for otherwise interfere with the administration of justice. And what I would relate,
wasn't
factual record is that Mr. Zuazo was arrested, I believe, on the 14th day of October last year. He was on a job site. A SWAT team came in to make that arrest. He was cooperative at the time. He did not otherwise interfere with the administration of justice. That was the first time he had any encounter with law enforcement as far as the investigation of this case goes. And I don't know of any time after his arrest that he otherwise interfered with the administration of justice. So it's for that reason that I'm raising an objection to the assessment of 10 points for OV 19. And I will tell the court that the total score is 120 points, the offense variable score. And so it's not going to make any difference in terms of what the guideline range is, but I don't want, as trial counsel on behalf of Mr. Zuazo, to let what I believe the rule is to go unchallenged.
And just to be clear, we're obviously not talking about the felony murder. You're talking about the guidelines as they pertain to count 2 and 3.
That's correct.
Okay, what's the people's position?
Your Honor, the people believe that it's properly scored. The fact that the sheriff's office very efficiently tracked down the defendant and had him arrested at his house doesn't negate what he did between the murder and his arrest, which was the fact that he tried to get rid of the evidence. In fact, defendant Hernandez had some of his evidence in his possession. He also was involved in having the vehicle that had been used in that part of the arson of that. And also the fact that the charge itself for those 2 counts does say that it was in perpetration of escaping the conviction of getting away from flight with a felony. So it's actually built into the charge.
Right. My recollection is that the defendant Zuazo went about his normal life after having committed the offense, that he went to work and was an attempt to pretend or act as if none of this had occurred. So I do think that the OB is properly scored and that he did obstruct justice, but by not cooperating and participating in the aftermath of this murder. Anything else?
No, that is.
Judge, regarding Mr. Zuazo, before we leave him to talk about Mr. Hernandez, we have to address the habitual offender notice,
Okay.
which was properly given. People believe that all 3 of those convictions are referenced in the PSI. I believe the defendant acknowledged the PSI was correct. The first one, the habitual regarding a prior conviction for prisoner possessing a weapon that occurred in the year 2015. That's referenced in the PSI as number 6 of 7. The second prior conviction, which was an armed robbery conviction out of 2010, was also referenced in the PSI as number 5 of 7. And the third prior conviction for felony receiving, concealing stolen property of a motor vehicle out of 2005 is reference number 4 out of 7. I do think the court needs to take notice of that. For the record, it does affect the guidelines.
And you agree that that's accurate, Mr. McCarthy?
Yes, Your
All right,
Honor.
the court is going to take notice.
Mr. Zuazo confirmed all of those convictions when we went through the report this past Saturday.
Okay, all right, the court's going to take notice that the defendant is in fact being sentenced as a habitual 4.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Ms.
Yeah, I haven't watched this, but I hear that she really gave them the right. She read them the act, is what I heard. I haven't watched it yet, so it just happened this morning. So I was very interested in this. And welcome in, Cindy. I'm so glad you're here. I know it's been a while, and again, I apologize, but seasonal affective disorder is a real thing, and some days it can be a bitch. And I'm so glad you made it in. Thank you so much.
Lofton, any changes on behalf of defendant Hernandez?
Nothing to the report, but I do have 2 separate guideline issues that I'd like to address.
Okay, go ahead.
OV1, this is in conviction count 2 of 3, so the unlawful imprisonment. OV1 is currently scored at 10 points. OV1 is aggravated use of a weapon. 10 points should be scored if the victim was touched by any other type of weapon. In all of the testimony that was presented, I don't believe that it was proven or even mentioned that a weapon was used. If we are to believe that this assault took place by fists, I say that it absolutely should not be scored. He wasn't touched by a weapon. Mr. Hernandez is not charged with any offenses relating to a weapon, so I don't believe it's properly scored. OV2 also piggybacks on that same line of thinking. OV2 is lethal potential of weapon possessed or used. He is currently scored at 1 point. 1 point should only be assessed. It says the offender possessed or used any other potentially lethal weapon. I argue that that was absolutely not proven at trial.
Okay, people.
Judge, starting with her last argument first, the court is very aware that the testimony showed that the victim had and carried his sidearm. That sidearm was missing. It was never recovered. So he was possessed. It was missing. The defendants did take that weapon. He was in possession or aiding and abetting the possession of a weapon. So I think that is just logically consistent. And I think the court did hear that.
Does the weapon have to be used in the course of the crime?
One is the possession of it, correct? And then for her first argument, you heard the testimony of both the first responders who described the scene and initially thought that it was gunshots. That's how horrific the scene was to them. And then you heard the medical examiner's testimony talking about the blunt force trauma, indicating that a weapon was also consistent with being used in that. There was also the weights that were found right next to him that had lots of blood on it. I believe that you could find from the preponderance of the evidence presented that that's properly scored.
All right, the court does find that OV1 is properly scored at 10. The images that the court viewed as it pertained to the victim, Mr. Murray here, certainly could be described as being brutal in nature and not likely to have just been able to have been committed by fists. So there were items within that basement that could have been used as a weapon. So the court does think OV1 is properly scored at 10. And conversely, OV2 is properly scored at 1. Defense's objections are noted for the record. All right, any other changes as it pertains to the PSI for defendant Hernandez?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we're gonna get to allocution.
Judge, I hate to interrupt, but
Yeah.
again, for the habitual offender notice for Mr. Hernandez, I believe it needs to be acknowledged on the record regarding the habitual that has been filed. He has 3 prior convictions for felonies, one in 2012 for prisoner attempted possession of a weapon. That's number 5 of 7 in the PSI. A 2006 conviction, 3rd degree criminal sexual conduct. That's listed as number 3 of 7 in the PSI, and a prior conviction for felon in possession of a firearm in 2006. That's listed as number 4 of 7 in the PSI. And I believe those should be taken notice of for the record.
All right, Ms. Lofton, you agree with that?
I agree.
All right, the court is going to take notice that defendant Hernandez is also a habitual fourth offender. All right, so before.
I like how they take note and they make sure to let you, this is an habitual offender. You know, this is not a first crime committed by this person. So, you know, these will play a role in the sentencing.
Before we get to allocution, I'll obviously give the parties an opportunity to speak. It's my understanding you have some victims who would like to speak.
Yes,
first.
the 3 sons would like to speak
Okay.
briefly, Judge.
Would you like the defendants to remain standing or be seated during the statement?
They can stand.
Hussein Murray, if you could approach.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who he said this was. Sorry, I didn't hear who he said.
If you could
I know
approach.
Their son, but I didn't. Did they say a name?
If you could state your name for the record, please.
Definitely. Hussein Murray.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I have a lot on my heart that I could say to you. My brothers are going to speak as well, so to be mindful of the court's time. I'm just going to read a short poem that my mother wrote to express her feelings about this, and my brothers will speak on my behalf as well. They have stolen my sunshine. They have stolen my happiness. They have stolen my reason for living. They have stolen the love of my life. The world is darker now without the love of my life, without my companion of 54 years. The plans we made will never come true. The sadness and tears will never end.
Right, Denise.
I want to scream. I want to yell. I want to throw things against the wall. But all I can do is keep it inside for the rest of my life. Thank you.
You know, bless them for having a marriage for that long, you know, and to lose someone, that's a hard, hard thing. I feel for that wife and these 3 sons.
You could state your name for the record.
Rahif Murray.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my dad first, just that he was kind and warm. He was a very brave man, especially after caring for my grandmother who was dying. He became gentle in a way that I had never expected. And he did that at the age of 70 years old, I might add. He was the rock that our entire family could depend on. You know, he never let anyone down. He sacrificed his whole life. He never really took vacations, never had fancy things, never had fancy cars, extravagant dinners. He always made sure that everybody was safe and secure, cared for. Unfortunately, he was just in the time where he was starting to enjoy his life and plan on retirement, just now starting to go on vacations with his grandkids, but that tragically ended. And in this impact statement, he is the primary victim. His life was stolen. He'll never get to see his grandkids graduate college or have their own children or get married. He'll never get to enjoy his retirement with my mother, who's also a victim in this crime. She has had to endure trauma, a loss I cannot even imagine, losing someone that you've been married to for that long, dedicated and lovingly. Also, I can't imagine the way she feels the violation of the sanctity of her home, some place where you're supposed to feel refuge and safe. I hope that she has that feeling, because I don't know if I would ever have it again. She'll never get to see his warm, smiling face or his warm embrace. We will never have the safety of knowing that he has had our back because he's no longer with us. My family has had a significant impact.
You know, I know we talk a lot about mental health over here with this channel and stuff. This kind of crime really affects any crime. You know, we go back to talking about it affects so many people. One act by one person has affected so many people around him. These are two people. So not only these two people that committed the crime have totally destroyed their lives, their family also have to deal with all the trauma that comes behind what they did. So not only, you know, and I'm not saying anything to show favoritism or anything, but yes, it's affecting these gentlemen right here. These three children of the man that's life was taken. But not only that, it's affecting so many other people, friends, customers, just neighbors, so many other people. And now the two men that are being charged for this, their lives are destroyed, their families, their children's lives, you know, so it touches so many people. So I understand this gentleman over here saying it's had a significant impact on his family. There's many families that this type of crime has an impact on.
Emotionally, we have suffered. School has suffered from depression. My daughter has had trouble making friends. I have had severe depression. My father was my hero, and I couldn't get the idea of his murder out of my head whenever I would remember him. And that is something that I will never forgive the defendants for, because anytime I remember any of these warm, wonderful things about my father, I also think about his last moments of terror, thinking that my mother is going to die as well. I will never forget that. And I hope that the court takes that into its determination today. And my broader family, everyone has been devastated. Every day we go to work.
I don't mean to interrupt him, but I'm going to back up because I want you to recognize the difference in size between Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Zuazo. Are they standing on the same level of bench? Holy smokes.
In my broader family, everyone has been devastated. Every day we go to work is a trial of our patience and our fortitude, because everything there is tainted with his presence. He filled the place with joy, and his presence is missed every day. I would say that someone could be forgiven for something like this should they ask for it, but I don't see that the defendants are remorseful in the least. And I would also hope that the court would take that into consideration. Another consideration I hope is taken into account is that he is the second jeweler to be murdered in as many years over money. I think that in order to make sure that this doesn't happen, we need to make sure that all parties that are accompanied to this crime are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. That's my wish, I hope. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Abdu Murray, the eldest son. I'm Abdu Hussein Murray, the eldest son of Hussein Abdu Murray and Linda Murray. Your Honor, you've heard enough statements of the way crime has shattered families to last you a lifetime. It's part of the burden you bear as a public servant. It's a burden I am grateful you had the fortitude to bear for us. Sentencing is a time when we imperfect vessels of justice try to fit the sentence with the crime, with the consequences, with the sin. And that's what's happened here. It really is sin. We call it crime, but it's a sin. It's a grievous sin, a sin that took a vibrant life never to be replaced on this side of heaven, a sin that shattered my mom's life and her sense of security. You know, my dad was larger than life. He was generous to a fault. He was strong as an ox, and he was brave as a lion. And with one act of trust, based on one act of deceit, planned deceit, the lion that protected my mom was slain. Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo robbed my mom of her lifelong companion, her husband of 54 years. They snatched away his grandkids' futures of seeing him light up a room at their graduations, at their weddings, at the birth of their kids, so he could have grandkids with my mom. Our very large family looked.
Dude, they are standing. No, okay. He is, okay, Hernandez is one level up on the thing from Zuazo. Okay, I can clearly see it now. But still, the size difference between these two men, and you know, if you remember, I remember during the trial, Zuazo saying how he was intimidated, you know, and they didn't want to sit close to each other and all that. You know, this angle really looks bad. I would be very intimidated by
him
that.
In so many ways, emotionally, spiritually, financially. So when they robbed my mom of her husband, they robbed us all. My brothers and I were robbed of our hero, our counselor, and just dad. But another robbery happened after my dad's murder, and that was the robbery of our dignity. You know, Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo are guilty of this sin. They're guilty of this crime, and it was obvious. It was painfully obvious. So very obvious that it took the juries less than an hour to convict them both. The mountain of evidence leading to a guilty verdict was absolutely inevitable. Absolutely inevitable. And of course, I believe strongly in the defendant's right to a fair and just and speedy trial. And this court did an amazing job of ensuring that they got that right to be exercised. It's a right that I believe in heavily. It's a right for every human being and every citizen of this country to have, and I would defend that right to a fair trial. But just because you have the right to a fair trial doesn't mean making us sit through a week of it was the right thing to do. It was not the right thing to do. They could have exercised another right, and that right is to plead guilty, to own their sin, to do at least one thing that could have been a testimony to this community and their families and everyone else about what it means to own sin, to own up to the consequences and to bear those consequences. Instead, they chose to make my mom sit in that box and testify and relive the worst day of her life. They chose to make us relive our private hells. They chose to make us watch and hear and listen to forensic evidence about the violent way my father met his end at their hands. They chose to make us sit through text messages where they planned a heist that would get them the house of their dreams and the yard they've always longed for. My mom and my dad, who came from virtually nothing, worked their whole lives to get the big house and the yard. And Joshua Zuazo and Carlos Hernandez descended upon that house with envious eyes. And they made us sit through a week of that at the trial. Not to mention the preliminary hearing. All the while knowing they were guilty, but banking on the slimmest of chances, and the chances were exceedingly infinitesimally slim, that they would get out of that guilt, or that they would get less than the maximum sentence. What that tells me, Your Honor, is that there is not yet any repentance in their heart for the sins they have committed. And that tells me they have not yet fully come to terms with the enormity of the damage, with the size of the crater, with the vastness of their sin. It tells me that the only way they will ever really truly understand the depth of what they've done to us and to the community is for them to spend the rest of their lives in prison and never get out. Their sin has lifelong consequences for us, and their sin should have lifelong consequences for them, and the law of the land provides for that. And maybe then, and this is a hope I have for you guys, maybe then you'll see what happened, the depth and the consequences of this whole thing. I don't think it's going to take anything less than sitting in jail for the rest of your life to do that. I really don't think so. I mean, you see that, and then maybe there can be repentance. One of my favorite lines from a book asks the question, is everything sad going to become untrue? What a line. Is everything sad going to come untrue? My faith in the Savior of the world tells me that yes, eventually everything sad will become untrue. But until that day, everything sad will stay true. And it will stay true because of what they did. And while those sad things remain true, Your Honor, these men need to bear the consequences of what they've made true, of what they've made sad. My dad is gone. My kid's grandfather is gone. And my mom's husband is gone. For justice's sake, for the community's sake, for our sakes, and I dare say, for their sakes, they need to feel the weight of their sin to the fullest extent the court can give it. And hopefully then, when all is seen, and what is sad is now true, maybe they'll acknowledge it and see the depth of it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And I would just like to say, your dad sounds like he was an incredible man. Everything that you guys have said and everything about his story, just someone who worked so hard to provide for his family. And that rings true with this court. And the court gives you and your family its deepest condolences.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else by the people?
That was so kind of the judge to say kind words like that. Not all judges do that. So much respect to this judge for doing that.
There's nothing left for us to say, Judge.
Understood. All right, so Mr. McCarthy, on behalf of defendant Zuazo.
So, Your Honor, the sentence that has to be imposed is mandatory. Mr. Zuazo and I discussed his right to address the court here this afternoon when we met on Saturday. My understanding is that he will decline that opportunity. He intends to appeal his conviction, but he's not going to be saying anything on the record today.
Excuse me?
All right, Mr. Zuazo, this is your opportunity to make a statement to the court. Anything you would like to say?
No,
Ms.
ma'am.
Lawson, any allocution on behalf of defendant Hernandez?
Yes, Your Honor. As to count one, obviously, as Mr. McCarthy has stated, the court is not given many options. As to count 2 and 3, guidelines are scored at the bottom end of 62 months to 228 months. My client is requesting that I ask the court to sentence to the bottom of the guidelines on count 2 and count 3. My client likewise is going to decline his rights to make a statement. He intends to appeal, and I do have that form filled out.
Any statement you'd like to make to the court, defendant Hernandez, prior to your sentencing?
No, ma'am.
All right, this court, having sentenced many individuals over the years, it is rarely does the court see this level of depravity, this level of arrogance and greed, because that's what that was all based on. You could care less about a man's life in order for you to fulfill the fantasy of the life that you wanted, the white picket fence, the house. His life meant nothing to you. The idea that there is such a loss of humanity in your actions. You go to his home the evening before. He looks at you eye to eye, and he's kind. Most people would not be kind at 10 o'clock in the evening. That doesn't stop you. That just alters your plan to go back the next day. And you go back the next day with the intent to deceive and invade. And every single step you could have taken to change that at that point, when you walked in that house, every step on the way to that basement, on your way down with him, you could have said, okay, enough is enough. It's gone too far. But you couldn't, because it's a cowardice act, because that's exactly what you are. It is pathetic. Your actions are absolutely pathetic. You thought you came up with this brilliant plan. You boasted about it in messages that you had it all figured out. There's signs, there's timing. You got it all figured out. What you didn't realize was every single thing that you did, every little pathetic cowardice act that you did led to a trail of evidence that ended up being copious amounts of evidence that led in very quick convictions with 2 separate juries. None of us know exactly what happened in the basement when you 2 went down. Obviously, we didn't have a video to be able to see it. We see the aftermath of what happens when you go down there. But I am certain that Mr. Murray fought you with the courage of a man who spent his life protecting his home and his family. And I hope whatever those last words he said to you, or whatever that last moment that he looked at you, haunts you for the rest of your life. Because you see, 1 breath of Mr. Murray's life doesn't amount to 1 ounce of your dignity or worth. He was a loyal man. He was a hardworking man. How dare you? It is the sentence of the court as to defendant Zuazo, as to count 1, homicide, felony, murder, habitual, for the defendant served his natural life in the Michigan Department of Corrections without the possibility of parole. As to count 2 and 3, it's unlawful imprisonment as a habitual 4. It is the sentence of the court. The defendant served 228 days to 80 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections with the 421 days of credit. Restitution is $2,819. State cost is $204. Crime victim rate is $130. You have an absolute right to file an appeal with the Michigan Court of Appeals. If you can't afford an attorney, the court would appoint one for you. You have 42 days to make that request. As to
Judge, may I interject?
Sure.
You indicated 228 days.
228 months.
That's what I thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As to defendant Hernandez, this is case number 2024-291945. As to count 1, it is the sentence of the court. The defendant served his natural life in the Michigan Department of Corrections without the possibility of parole. As to counts 2 and 3, it is the sentence of the court. The defendant served 228 months to 80 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. He'll receive his 423 days of credit. It's $28.19 for restitution, $204 for state costs. Crime victim rate is $130. And I didn't say this, I know Mr. Zuazo was removed. It's no contact whatsoever, directly or indirectly, with Linda Murray and or the Murray family. You have an absolute right to file an application for leave to appeal with the Court of Appeals. If you can't afford an attorney, the court appoints one for you. You have 42 days to make that request.
Your Honor, as to Mr. Zuazo, who has been removed from the courtroom, he executed the request for appellate counsel form, and I'm going to hand it to your clerk before I leave.
Okay, and Mr. McCarthy, do you want him brought back in for you to say that in his presence? Because I'd be happy to do that.
If you could do that, that would be great.
Let's bring them back in.
But why
Ms.
was he
Lawson?
removed?
And for the record, Your Honor, my client has also executed his right to appeal, and he will be tendered on to the clerk. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Of course.
I don't. We just.
What the hell was that noise? I'm sorry. Did his chair just give out? I'm sorry. Coming from a fat chick. Okay. Did his chair just, I'm sorry. Rewind. When he sat down, I heard something go, woo! Okay. Comedy in the chaos, y'all. Comedy in the chaos. I have to do it.
I don't.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. When I was over 300 pounds, I had chairs do that. So I can laugh about that. Okay. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. Oh, you're right, Cindy. I think that's what I needed to. That's what I needed to bring. Hold on. We're going to rewind one more time. Let the judge finish. I'm sorry. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to be quiet.
I don't. Can we just approach this?
It got silent. After that, they cut the sound. Oh my God. I'm hot now. I'm gonna have to turn my air conditioner on or my fan on or something. Oh, okay. I needed that. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I need to quit saying I'm sorry because I'm not sorry. I've been there. I've been the fat chick that sat in the chair and the chair went. Rrr. I've been in the chair that broke before. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, they're going to bring him back in to make the statement.
Thank you. All right, and then Mr. Zuazo, your attorney indicated that you did actually sign your appellate rights. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, and if the court didn't order, you are to have no contact directly or indirectly with Linda Murray and or the Murray family. You got restitution in that amount of $28.19, state cost of $204, and crime victim right of $130. Counsels, anything else for the record?
Just for both defendants, the restitution is joint and severable.
And I'm giving Mr. Zuazo one of the forms that he signed so that they don't have it in his file going forward. And I'll give the other copy to your clerk before I leave the courtroom.
Excellent. Anything else?
No, Your
No,
Honor.
you're all right. Where's the term?
All right.
Hio, are you that third person back there watching me make a fool out of myself with a squeaky whoosh in his chair? I'm sorry, y'all. I just that was the comedy I needed to woosah all this. Okay. With that, we are going to drop that. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do my bathroom break. I'm going to refill my coffee. I'm going to grab me some snacks, and I got some wild crap to watch. I just put together some stream stuff that we can watch that's just crime. And I think I labeled that stream just a bunch of crime. And people sitting around some rubber ducks in a little pool. So we're by the pond. We're going to hang out by the pond, and we're just going to watch some crap. And I will be back. I think I have it set for 4:30, I believe. I don't remember. But I'll be back here shortly. Okay, you guys, thanks for being here. I will see y'all soon. I'm going to go make mom lunch and get all that taken care of so I can come back and know that I have time to be here. I need to go check back up on that accident. Hector was just by. Yeah, I need to check on Hector too. So, yeah, it's a crime and shame. That's what I should have labeled it. I think I just labeled the stream a bunch of crime. So, yeah. I need to go check on Hector with whatever just happened. I need to make sure he made it to work because it is time for him to be at work, and double check on the accident. I can see on the TransStar stuff on the freeways that there is a big accident. So I'm going to go check on that. I will be back, and give me about 30 minutes, guys, and I will be back. Let me go get mom situated and everybody else. And till then, peace.
Life's a ride on a rickety old track.